Hello, friends. Welcome back to OGM News on a special edition of Code Blue. My name is Rayo. Today, we are going to confront a deeply unsettling reality, one that challenges the very principles of justice and fairness that define our nation. Imagine being a lawful resident of the United States, building a life, contributing to your community, only to be forcefully deported to one of the most dangerous prisons in El Salvador, all because of an administrative error.
One of the most notorious prisons in El Salvador is La Esperanza, commonly known as Mariona, and the Izalco prison. These facilities are infamous for their brutal conditions, extreme overcrowding, and the housing of some of Central America's most dangerous gang members, including members of MS-13 and Barrio 18. Inside these prisons, inmates are often crammed together in tiny cells with little ventilation or hygiene. Images have surfaced showing prisoners packed shoulder to shoulder, sitting on the ground with their hands behind their heads, stripped down to their underwear. The conditions are so dire that human rights organizations have repeatedly condemned them, citing violations of basic human dignity. Security measures are severe, with heavily armed guards constantly patrolling the premises. Prisoners often remain locked down for 24 hours a day, with limited access to food, medical care, or basic necessities. Violence between rival gang members is common, though authorities enforce strict control through intimidation and force. One of the most disturbing aspects of these prisons is how they reflect El Salvador's broader strategy of cracking down on gang violence, prioritizing containment over rehabilitation. This approach has raised concerns about the potential for human rights abuses and the long-term effectiveness of such punitive measures. This is such a horrible condition this Maryland father, U.S. legal resident, who is said to have no criminal record, is set to face in El Salvador. I am Mama T for OGM News.
This is not fiction. This is the story of Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, a Maryland father who, despite being a legal U.S. resident with protected status, was wrongfully deported by the Trump administration. As if the pain of being ripped from his family wasn't enough, Abrego Garcia found himself trapped in the harsh confines of the Terrorism Confinement Center, one of El Salvador's most notorious prisons. Why did this happen, you may ask? A mistake. A mistake that cost a man his freedom and his dignity. A mistake that reflects a troubling pattern in our immigration enforcement system. This is not an isolated case. It's part of a disturbing trend that affects lawful residents across the United States, often targeting non-white immigrants without criminal records, under questionable circumstances. But it doesn't end here. Let me tell you about Yunseo Chung, a young Columbia University student who has been in the U.S. since she was 7, now facing deportation for peacefully protesting.
Ms. Chung is in good spirits. Yesterday's news was a weight off of her chest. She spent the last period of time living in fear of being suddenly arrested by ICE, even though she's a permanent resident of the United States. She's just a college student. She's a straight A college student at that, and all she's done is speak up in defense of Palestinian human rights. Not the sort of thing you would expect to land you behind bars, but that was exactly what ICE intended to do. And because the court did the appropriate and the fair and the sensible thing of blocking ICE from doing that, at least for now, until we get a chance to, work out the constitutional issues that we see in this case.
Or Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian activist and legal resident, accused without evidence of supporting terrorism, all because he dared to speak out. What we are witnessing is more than just a bureaucratic failure. It's a systemic issue that reeks of racial bias and suppression of dissent. It's a chilling reminder that our immigration policies can be wielded as weapons against minority communities and political activists. Today, I ask you, where is the accountability? Why are the rights of legal residents being discarded so recklessly? Why are we allowing laws like the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to be twisted into tools of oppression rather than protection? We must not remain silent. We must demand reform, oversight, and justice. We must protect those who call this country home, regardless of their race, background, or beliefs. Our voices matter, especially now. Our actions matter. And together we can fight for a system that upholds the true spirit of justice and equality. With this in mind, I would now take you back to Sur La Blue. Hope to see you again for another special edition of Code Blue in America. Until then, stay supportive of our wonderful work at OGM News. Stay well, hold the line, and stay strong.